All right. I hope everybody's ready to go. I appreciate your patience while we get everybody else settled and feeling good about this evening. Um, Everybody, I just want to get a quick introduction. My name is Jonathan Riley. I'm here on behalf of the Black Alumni and Friends Network. And I really want to make sure we say thank you all for joining us during this conversation and really celebrating Black Heritage Month, which, as we all know, is also known as Black History Month. But we wanted to make sure we understand the heritage behind the history. So very much appreciate you all standing and spending time with us. We want to first thank all of our amazing partners, of course, our guests, and of course, the amazing Dr. Keith Dempsey, who will be our keynote this evening. Also, special shout out to PDX Black Excellence, Oregon State University, and of course, the Lonnie B Black Cultural Center for providing support, space, and connection for our students and our alumni and our communities. I encourage everyone to lean in a little bit this evening and learn a little bit more about what we do with the Black Alumni and Friends Network as well. We're almost from a small but mighty team we have of friends, parents, creatives, connectors, educators, and of course, leaders who come together to really drive connections for our alumni and our students, as well as our communities we all individually serve. It's important to note that our network is not just for OSU alumni. Our goal is to create a prominent and collaborative community of people who are excited about the advancement of Black people, Black communities, and Black professionals around the world. We're about that action, and we're unapologetic about it. And we're seeking success within everything that we do, touch, and connect with. So we very much appreciate you all spending time with us. Now, I can get my face off the screen and pass it to more brighter faces. Two of our amazing students at Oregon State University. We have Milky Mohammed and we have Mia Cowan, who will be coming in to share a little bit of information about themselves, as well as introducing our keynote speaker, Dr. Keith Dempsey. Mia and Milky, please take it away.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mia Cowan. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I currently serve as one of the leadership liaisons at the Lonnie B Black Cultural Center. I'm a senior majoring in chemical engineering. I am from Portland, Oregon, but I was raised in Atlanta, Georgia, in which I'm currently in Atlanta right now. But yeah, it's a little bit about myself. Milky.
Hey guys, my name is Milky. I'm currently a second year at OSU. I work as a peer facilitator at the BCC. I'm currently majoring in political science with a minor in health management and policy. Hopefully I'll become a lawyer or work in the healthcare field. So, yeah.
Okay. Dr. Keith Dempsey earned a PhD in counselor education and supervision from Oregon State University in 2009. He is currently the Associate Dean of the Graduate School of Counseling at George Fox University. He is the first African American to receive tenure at the institution. He has conducted national presentations and trainings regarding issues of diversity, racial trauma, and the plight of Black men. Dr. Dempsey is the past president of the Western Association for Counselor Education and Supervision. Dr. Dempsey has 20 plus years of professional experience in the helping field. He served as a multi-systemic therapist at Self Enhancement, Inc. He was also a clinical social worker at the Casey Family Programs. He later went on to develop substantial programs at the African American Health Coalition designed to combat physical and mental health disparities. He currently operates a private practice in Portland and conducts individual, couple, and family therapy. Dr. Dempsey has provided substantial volunteerism with organizations such as the Salvation Army, the McLaren Youth Correctional Facility, and the Prospective Gents organization. As a lifetime member of the Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, he coordinated the Kappa League Youth Program. The program provided mentoring for young men from third grade throughout high school. He currently runs a program called Baby Steps at Rosa Parks Elementary School. The program is designed to teach unity, brotherhood, and love through the lens of positive Black empowerment. Dr. Dempsey has received the Outstanding Service Award from the Oregon Youth Authority, Alpha Kappa Alpha Emerald Award for Excellence in Education, Portland Community College Social Justice Comrade Award, WASE's Outstanding Leadership Award, Martin Luther King Jr. Lifetime Achievement Award, and most recently, the Oregon State University Black Achievement Award. Let's give a warm welcome to Dr. Keith Dempsey.
Thank you so much, Mia and Milky. Appreciate you so much. Man, sister, you read the whole bio. I just thought you were going to read a little bit. I like to underpromise and over-deliver, but you got me out here in these streets. So let me see what I can do. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this virtual space. As my sister said, yes, I am the Associate Dean at George Fox University. I've been doing this work for over 20 years, and I do have a small private practice. And my focus in the private practice is racial trauma, coping strategies for Black people, and specifically Black men. And I have a FUBU model. It's for us, by us, and I don't apologize for that. Before I jump into it, I want to talk about my interest in mental health counseling, how it came about, and it has some OSU connections, and it goes back to 1988. 1988, getting ready to graduate from Benson High School, I made a trip in to see my counselor, my guidance counselor, and I had a decent GPA. It was all right, 2.5, 2.7. And I said, well, you know, I'm thinking about college. And he was a white guy. He had certificates on his wall, and, you know, he was a certified counselor and everything. And he quickly looked at me and said, "You're not college material." So, you know, being who he was, and he had all of the expertise, yeah, I accepted that, and I went on. But there was another Black counselor in the building, and he happened to be my track coach. And he called me in the office, and he said, "I need for you to fill out this application for Oregon State University." He was an Oregon State University alum himself, Leon McKenzie. And I told Leon I didn't have what it took to graduate from college. And Leon wasn't listening to that story because he had an incredible story himself. He barely made it through high school. And his first year in college, his first year at Oregon State University, he made the dean's list. So Leon wasn't having it. He made me fill this application out. And lo and behold, I got into Oregon State University. So with that being said, it was this human connection that I thought was so awesome. This counselor who cared about me, this counselor who knew that I had the ability to do this, made me go to Oregon State and seek this out. With that being said, I just want to take this opportunity to thank all of the Black Alumni and Friends Network leadership. Suzanne, you are wonderful. I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. My brother Jonathan, he is a marketing whiz. So all of these beautiful pictures and everything that you see, this PowerPoint presentation, that's all Jonathan. So with that being said, let's go ahead and roll into it. My first thing is, it exists. And when I say it exists, mental health problems exist within the Black community. Okay, that's something that we have to acknowledge. That's something that we have to be aware of. That's just something that we need to lean into, as Jonathan said a little earlier. So I want to set up this clip for you. We have a clip, and it's from a show called A Million Little Things. And in this show, it's pretty profound to me how they tackle mental health. There are 4 friends, and 2 of them have mental illness, and they don't even know it. So this particular friend is getting ready to commit suicide. He has pills in his mouth, and he gets a phone call that another friend has already committed suicide, jumped off the 10th floor. So he spits the pills out, and he's already written a letter. He's written a letter to his wife saying that, "I love you, but I'm leaving," so on and so forth. So he doesn't commit suicide, but he forgets about the letter. So he and his wife, they go to the funeral, and later on, his wife finds this letter, and she doesn't know what to do. So that's where we are. So let's go ahead and roll that clip.
Ways and mechanisms partially mapped out.
Can't hear the volume.
The idea.
I think we're having problems with the volume.
Okay, let me run it back and let me switch this. Just a moment, everybody.
And then let me know if you got it. Give me a thumbs up once I hit play. hold on. Oh, hold on. I think it's playing through my headphones since I was logged in. So let me cut these off. Okay.
This had nothing to do with you.
How could you say this has nothing to do with me?
Because I love you more than every single part of my life combined.
We sat in that funeral saying, how did he not tell Delilah?
No, you don't understand.
No, I don't understand. How can I possibly understand this?
That's what I'm trying to tell you, Gina. I don't understand it either. I don't. I have a great life. But sometimes, for some reason, I feel so sad. And I can't think, what if this is the happiest I'm ever gonna be?
Okay. My turn. I need you to listen to me. I need you to hear me. You are not the best part of my life. You are my life. And I will not lose you.
All right. Can y'all hear me? Everybody hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay. In that clip, number one, here's a Black man, a Black wife, and he's struggling from depression, mental health illness, doesn't feel like he can tell anyone. In this particular situation, what's happening, what we're breaking down is there's a difference between situational depression and clinical depression. See, we've all had situational depression. Maybe something happened that we didn't feel good about. Maybe someone that we were close to died. Maybe we didn't do well on a test. Maybe we didn't get a particular job. And we have strategies to be able to get out of that. Maybe walk or exercise, think positive, or pray. See, but the problem is situational depression can look like clinical depression. But what we don't understand is clinical depression means I can't get out of bed in the morning and haven't been able to get out of bed for the last 2 months. Clinical depression means I'm so sad that I just don't think that I want to be here. And that's different. Now, the reason I say this is because sometimes as community members, we kind of try to give folks, try to give them advice on how to handle things, thinking that they're what we dealt with when it's completely something else. The strategies of walking, exercising, thinking positive, and praying, that may not work for that particular person. You think about this guy in this clip. His name was Rome. You think about it. He said, "I don't understand. I don't know why." There are people in our community that don't understand and they don't know why. And we see them every day. However, they appear to be that weed smoker, that all they do is smoke weed and they don't have a particular job. You see, that person is saying, I don't understand and I don't know why. It could be that person that can't keep a job, but that person is saying, I don't understand and I don't know why. It can be that person who has a hard time keeping relationships, but what that person is really saying is, I don't understand and I don't know why. I truly believe that community support can equate the healing, but our community has to have a better understanding of the different faces of mental health. So today I want to tackle two big issues, and that's mental health services, the breakdown of stigmas, provide a safe place for Black folks to be able to receive counseling. I want to talk about racial trauma. Black folks have endured this for years, how profound it is, how it affects our physical and mental health. And overall, I just want to talk about the Black condition because it's unique, it's painful, it's beautiful, and it's okay to hurt, and it's okay to ask for help, and it's possible to heal. So let's talk about the truths. Let's talk about the truths of this thing. The truths, the stigmas, and where we come from. But let's start with the truth. Okay, the truth is that it exists. It is in the African-American community. Anxiety, depression, all of that is in our community. Now, the difference is it's untreated. I once heard a medical professional say this. He said, Black people die from diabetes. White people treat their diabetes. So if we were to think about it that way, some people treat their depression, but Black people die from their depression. So it's in our community, but it's untreated. So you ask yourself, okay, well, why is it untreated? Well, we have some stigmas. I can't see you all, but maybe you can raise your hands or put something in the chat box. How many times have you heard this? What goes on in this house stays in this house. It's nobody's business. We're taught that. Another stigma, counseling is for crazy folks. Counseling is for white folks. I remember I was working at PCC. I was in the counseling department for a couple of years, working with a young lady. She was getting ready to flunk out. She had a scholarship, and her director said, you need to go down and get some counseling. So she came down and she was reluctant. And after a couple of months, it was really helpful for her. And she said, wow, I just didn't think that this would be helpful for me. And she said, when I came down here, I was ready to cuss that white man out. And I said, white man, what white man? She said, you, I thought that you were going to be a white man. That's what was in my mind. You were going to be a white man in a lab coat, and you were going to have me lay down on the couch and talk about my childhood. That's in her mind. That's what she saw counseling to be. Another stigma, pray it away. Pray it away. If you need counseling, that means that you're not okay spiritually, all right, and that you're not in God's favor. I had an opportunity to write an article a couple of years ago, and it was about how the church connects with the mental health community. So as I wrote this article, I worked with a lot of clergy, and they were telling me, Keith, you know what, we have a lot of gifts, and the Lord has given me the gift to preach. However, when some of my folks come to me, I just don't have the skill set to deal with this. So even pastors are saying, no, it's a little farther. We need some counselors to jump in here. Stigma, cultural mistrust. Okay, cultural mistrust with mental health and the medical community. Think about the Tuskegee experiment and all of the bad things that happened. So you think about that, and you think about now, if there are older folks who are saying that they aren't going to get that vaccine, that stuff just plays over. So there are stigmas that come into play. Let me talk a little bit about racial trauma, y'all. I created a class called Race and Trauma at George Fox University. And I traveled across the country, and some of my colleagues across the country, when we meet, they say, hey, Keith, what are you doing? What's new? And I said, you know what? I created this class called Race and Trauma. And there are two different responses all of the time. Number one is, okay, that's dope. And the other one is, wow, interesting. Now, the first response is folks who know like they know that being a person of color is traumatic in this world. And the other is clueless to that. So when I'm talking about racial trauma, this is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about it's the idea that the exposure to racism can be the source of such extreme stress, it causes trauma. Such extreme stress causes mental health illness. Such extreme stress causes physical illness. It's a race-motivated stressor that threatens bodily harm or one's integrity. I liken this to a barking dog. If you ever ran up on a barking dog, and I'm not talking about one of those little dogs, I'm talking about like a big dog. If you ever ran up on a barking dog, you do one of three things: flight, fight, or you freeze. Okay. Now, when you run or when you fight, they say that's a healthy paranoia. Okay. Your heart rate increases, your blood pressure rises. It's a healthy paranoia because it helps you get to safety. Okay. Recently, Brother Jonathan made me re-examine that there are some barking dogs in 2020 that we have to deal with. Jonathan is, I don't know if you all know this, he's a new member of the Alumni Association Board. And we were in a meeting, and it was a Zoom meeting, and Jonathan's first meeting, I sent him a note. I said, baby boy, congratulations. I'm just so proud of you. And Jonathan, being the classy dude that he is, sent me a note back, and it was something along the lines of, we stand tall because we stand on the shoulders that come before us. Brother Dempsey, thank you. You led the way. And Jonathan, being the marketing guru he is, sent me another note that said, I saw your website, man, we need to talk. So as we got to talking about my website, Jonathan said, man, your website doesn't speak to your love. It doesn't speak to the dedication. It doesn't speak to the passion. It doesn't speak to the advocacy that you have for mental health. So we had to change that. Now, if you know anything about Jonathan, he doesn't work in European fashion. He's culturally specific. So he got to how I work and what's important to me by asking me this question. He said, what is your favorite artist? If your practice was an artist, who would it be? And I said, oh, that's easy, Marvin Gaye. And Jonathan was playing a little Marvin Gaye. And for those of you who are kind of young, because I saw some young folks up in here, Marvin Gaye is one of the baddest soul singers of all time. He sung songs like Let's Get It On, Sexual Healing. But there's one song that he sang that I just love, and it's an anthem, and it's called What's Going On? What's going on? And that's the question that we have to ask ourselves. What's going on? That's the question that I ask my clients. What's going on? That's the question that I want my clients to ask themselves. What's going on? This particular song is really special because it was written by a member of the Four Tops. It was inspired by the increased police brutality. And we're talking about 1950s, 1960s, y'all. He took the song to his group, and the group didn't want it. They didn't want any part of it. They said, no, that's too controversial, man. It's a protest song, man. That's not what we're about. So then he gave it to Marvin Gaye. Marvin loved it. He changed all the tunes, all of the melodies, and he even changed some words. And at the time, he was inspired by the pain of the Watts riot. So So we got to ask ourselves, man, what's going on? What's going on in 2020? What went on? Man, it felt like the world was shifting underneath our feet. What's going on? COVID-19, the world stopped. I mean, the world actually stopped. What's going on? People were frustrated with the government, people who hadn't been frustrated with the government before. People were unemployed who hadn't been unemployed before. People were quarantined, couldn't go places. What's going on? George Floyd, one knee, 8 minutes and 46 seconds of horror, okay? For others, it was still horrific. However, it was more than 8 minutes and 46 seconds. It's been 400 years. The dog has never stopped barking. And occasionally it bites. Okay. So what's going on in the world resulted in uncomfortable conversation. What's going on revealed the ignorance in some and illuminated some of the awareness in others. What's going on brought people together in some places and divided them in others. Okay. So with all of this said, we got to talk about how this manifests in our community. A stressor overwhelms a person's capacity to cope, okay? A stressor overwhelms a person's capacity to cope. Okay. I've heard so many people, so many brothers and sisters say, you know what, this is too much. First of all, being Black, and now COVID-19, and now George Floyd. I just can't function. I can't function. Clients were afraid to leave their house. Okay. So how did it manifest? Fear. All right. I've had mothers and partners sobbing in my office because they were worried about their sons. They were worried about their husbands because they're being killed just because they're Black men. Okay. Teenagers experiencing panic attacks. Had one teenager was learning how to drive, and usually that's supposed to be an exciting thing. Teenager saw the police officer pass. He went into a panic attack. Mom, dad didn't know what was going on. Got into my office. Finally, we did some work. And then finally, he was able to say, when I saw the police officer, I froze because all I can see in my mind was my head against the cement and his knee on my neck. Okay, this is racial trauma. I hear clients say, I'm tired. Okay, and what are we talking about? Well, we're talking about a transgenerational fatigue resulting, from racial trauma. 30 years ago, it was Rodney King. Man, 99 years ago, it was the Tulsa riots. Then, let me take that back. Yesterday, I was on a show and I said the Tulsa riots, and she corrected me. She said the Tulsa massacre. And that's absolutely what it was. Okay. So hidden for the fear of being rejected. Sometimes we hide this stuff because we don't want to be rejected. Okay. So we got fear, we got sadness, we got doubt, we got anxiety, we got depression. Man, how do we heal? How do we cope? How do we move forward? Okay. Number one, we've got to acknowledge this thing. We've got to recognize that racial trauma is real. It is no plaything. We've got to be able to create a space that we can explore those competing emotions of anger, sadness, and hope. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar said something so dope because everyone was like, wow, this COVID-19 and George Floyd and everybody's coming out. We've never seen anything like this before. And Kareem said, yeah, but, I'm kind of suspended in a place between hope and history. He said, I'm hopeful because I've never seen people come out like this. Man, but history says people have come out like this before and kind of just went back when they had the opportunity to go back. So I'm hopeful, but man, history says something different. And when you think about Kareem's perspective, man, he grew up in the 50s and the 60s. Kareem was alive when Emmett Till died. So hope and history. So when others don't understand your pain and they don't understand your racial trauma, it does not mean it's not real. It simply means they don't understand. Okay? It simply means they don't understand. So the question is, how do we cope? How do we cope? Now, the first thing I say is coping, create your community. It's hard to create community nowadays. We're creating community like this. We can't come together. We can't eat together, and we can't do all of those things. But we've got to be able to create community. And when I say community with people who we love, community with safe folks. Okay, we got to tell our babies the truth. I remember when George Floyd happened, I was rushing home because I didn't want my teenager to see it. I wanted to frame it in a way, that he can understand. But he had already saw it, and he already sees things like this. So we have to tell our babies the truth. We can't hide these things from them. To know thyself. And when I talk about knowing thyself, I'm talking about knowing the history of our people and understanding that, we're not new to this. We're true to this. We've been through things before like this. The next thing is to talk to somebody, preferably a mental health professional. And we're going to talk a little more about that later, but talk to somebody. Now, if it's not a mental health professional, that does not mean it's therapeutic. My mother was the best counselor I've ever seen before, and she never walked on a college campus until the day she helped me enroll. But we've got to talk to somebody. I remember 20 years ago, one of our friends was in a bad situation with his wife, found out that his wife was cheating and it had been going on. And he ended up killing the gentleman who she was cheating with. And I remember, you know, we got on a phone call and we said, yo, if something is going on, y'all, let's talk about it. Let's not carry stuff around and do things that just don't work. Okay. So some of the coping: create community, tell our babies the truth, know thyself, and a spiritual connection. All right. Not a religious connection, a spiritual connection. And I say this because oftentimes there's a competition between fear and faith, and they're cousins. All right. Fear and faith. They're kind of the same because you're believing in something that you can't see. But if you choose to believe in fear, well, all right, we know where that's going to go. But if you choose to believe in a faith in something, all right, then we can go to a higher place. All right. And lastly, let's not reject how others are feeling. If somebody comes to you and says, man, I'm dealing with something, I'm having a hard time, we can't reject how they feel. In this next clip, Rome, the guy who was in the first clip, he's gone on and he went to counseling and he had this hard time doing it, but he went to counseling. And in addition to that, he was on medication. He was working with his father in the bathroom and his father found his medication. And let's just roll the clip and let's see how his father responds.
Now, full of potassium. What's next on the lesson plan, Pop? What are these? Dad, I tried, man. I tried to be the man you taught me to be. I tried not to ask for help. Help for what? Sometimes I get really sad for no reason. Actually, a lot of times. I have clinical depression. I've had it for a while. You want to teach me how to fix the sink, but me taking those pills? Putting my job? That's me trying to fix me. Do they help? Yeah, my doctor says it's a process, but they seem to be. So you're seeing a strength? Yes. Something I need to do. Nice job with the sink.
Wow. That was such a missed opportunity to support. That was just such a missed opportunity to accept. But there's fear of what that is and all of the stigmas that come with that. So the one thing that we can't do, we can't reject others when they're feeling that way. We can't reject others when they are asking for help or when they want help. So with that being said, you know what? I want to open this up. Jonathan lied to you. He said, I'm the keynote speaker, but that's not true. I just want to engage you in the conversation. So with that being said, let's go ahead and let's jump in a conversation, family.
Thank you, Dr. Dempsey. I know we're going to welcome back Milky to join us and to help facilitate the conversation. So if anybody has questions, please feel free to drop some in the chat. We have some preset that people submitted, so thank you for sharing. But before I pass it to Milky, thank you, Dr. Dempsey, for sharing your time and your space and your expertise in this. I definitely need it personally, and I know it's something that I've battled with. So from a personal and a space where we can create space for others, I appreciate you and I love you for that. Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Okay, so the first question is, how do you deal with a friend that has mental health issues but won't acknowledge it and get help?
Well, I mean, you can't I would have to know some more context about it. But oftentimes folks want to make people go to counseling, and usually what that's based upon is their own experience. You can't do that. But what you can do is saying, hey, I'm here for you. How can I support? And I'm worried about you. That's the most that you can do. But if you try to push and say you need to do thus and so, you know what that friend is going to do? That friend is going to start avoiding you. However, if you let this person understand that you are a safe place, then that person is going to be able to spend time with you. So just to be able to spend time, provide space, and show some empathy and some care. We're meeting that person where they are at that particular time.
Next question is, what questions should you ask your mental health professional to know if they are a good fit, especially if you don't share similar life experiences?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Man, that's a great question, because here we are in Oregon, and finding a Black mental health professional is few and far between. So it could be that you are, in front of somebody, who doesn't look like you. Now, white folks, when they call, they always say, you know what, I want a consultation. I want to know how you work, what's your theories, so on and so forth. Somehow, some way, we don't feel that we have the ability to do that. But it's okay to be able to call someone and say, hey, I'm Black, you're white. There's some power differences here. What do you feel about that? Like George Floyd just, got murdered. I'm feeling some type of way about that. I'm wondering where you are in terms of cultural sensitivity, diversity, things of that nature. Those are some powerful questions to ask. And if folks cower, from those questions, then that's your answer. However, if folks lean in and say, yes, I understand, I have white privilege and I have a different background, and I can understand why, you would be upset, and, and I can absorb some of that bitterness, that's a different thing. In fact, let me, on this, years ago, I used to work at a place called the Casey Family Program, and we were looking for a therapist for a young Black girl, and it's always been the same. It's been hard to find. And, one woman she was a great therapist, we talked to her and we said, we really would like for you to be a therapist for this young lady. And she said, you know what, I really want to, I know her background and everything, or what she's dealing with. But, quite frankly, I don't know the intricacies and the nuances of what it is to be a Black woman. And I would have to really be open and learn some things. Based on that, she got the job. Based on that, for her to be able to say, no matter what I see, no matter what I read, no matter what I think I know, I will never, ever, ever know what it is to be a Black woman or a Black man or a person of color. And so now the flip side is sometimes clients who come to me, it's so refreshing because they say, Dr. Dempsey, I've spent so much time in therapy with white therapists, and it just feels like I was explaining my culture half the time, and I never got an opportunity to work on me. So all of these questions are important so that you can do your work for you.
Let's see. Also, guys, feel free to drop questions in the chat or let me know if you have a question so you can just say it out there. Yeah, so next question. What mental health trends are you seeing in the Black community and how do we change them?
Well, there's one mental health trend in our community that I don't want to change. People are realizing that it exists. It exists. It exists. It exists. So it's out there. And my brothers and sisters are trying to get help. The one that I want to change, we don't have enough Black therapists. We just don't. And they're being turned away. And this is a time where we need folks the most. COVID-19, the racial unrest, and everything that's going on in the world. And like I explained, man, just being a Black person in this world, that's a trend that seems to exist, and we've got to change that.
There's a hand raised in the chat.
Oh,
So
I didn't see that.
Michael, if you want to go ahead and ask your question.
This is my bad. This is Paul. So I just wanted to say, first off, Brother Dempsey, I appreciate you for putting this on. It's very, very important, especially to see somebody of your stature and, you know, you bringing us into the frat and then seeing your level right now, me being a school social worker and also my Sands being a school social worker as well. And so it's awesome to hear you speak and understand that there's more that we can do. There's still a light at the end of the tunnel, even with the difficulties that we're facing. But I do have one quick question.
Sure.
You know, what type of advice would you give to, like, I don't want to speak for my Sands, but for us being, you know, younger in the game right now of being social workers and working with mental health, of course, with our Black and brown students and, you know, the nonprofit work we do, including with John.
Sure.
You know, what advice would you give us to help with these young brothers and sisters to break down those barriers and the stigma of what they see with mental health?
You know what? The first thing that comes to my mind, young frat, and it's good to hear your voice, man. Man, you are important and you matter, and you don't realize the impact that you have just by being there, just by being there. So you know, I know we want to save the world. Well, you know, it's sometimes it's just like planting seeds. You know, we just don't know, you know, when it's going to grow, when folks are going to water it. But I would just encourage you to understand that you are important, your presence is important, and that you matter, and just be there, you know, for the kids, be there for the babies, man, and continue to encourage them. And as I said earlier, man, meet them where they are.
Appreciate that.
Destiny, do you want to go next?
I do, thank you. Hello, my name is Destiny. I'm a third-year undergrad here at OSU, and I actually major in psychology and I minor in exercise physiology. I'm wanting to go into sports psychology. And something that I'm running into as an undergrad is like, it's pretty hard to find opportunities to internship and just have that kind of outlook on before I go into my career. And I'm wanting to really work with Black psychologists and therapists. And I'm just wanting to like get advice on how to get into those positions to intern. Yeah.
Yep. And you're talking about specifically with Black psychologists?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that's the tough piece. I mean, that kind of goes back to, you know, to what I said a little earlier. There are not a lot of Black mental health professionals. Now, there are a few, Destiny, and, you know, and even if they're not in a position, you know, for you to do an internship, you know, they may be able to point you in another direction. In fact, I had a phone call from a brother the other day. His name escapes me, but he was looking for interns. You know, that's what he was. That's what the phone call was about. So, Destiny, I think my information is on the website right there. Destiny, reach out to me so that I can connect you with some people. I also know people in the PsyD department at George Fox University who have connections with other folks who provide internships as well. So we just need to get you in the mix and for folks to know who you are.
Wow, I greatly appreciate it. I definitely will be reaching out.
Okay.
I'm gonna do one from the chat and then I'm gonna call on someone next. So one of the ones that came from the chat was, I have a friend who has a mental health issue and oftentimes it's too much. So how can I support from a distance?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. You know, you got to be able to have boundaries. and, you know, and whoever that person is, to figure out what is too much, and understanding, you know, what is too much, because, you know, that person can burn you out, and it can come to the point where you don't want to be with that person anymore. But we don't want that. We want to be able to support them at times when we are able to support them. So be able to set some boundaries, show some love, you know, and have that empathy and care.
Next one, Nez, do you want to go ahead and ask your question?
Yes. So I just have the question of how can we make it that you know, young black students don't see mental health so much more as like a laughing matter or like a sign of weakness, because whenever it's talked about, a lot of times it's like laughed off, or like if someone is going through something, it's like, oh, that person's just looking for attention, or they're crazy or something like that. Where how can we bring more attention and make it feel less like it's just something to shrug off?
Right. Normalize. Sister, is that what I hear you saying? You know, how do we normalize it and stop the brouhaha around this, and, you know, and understand that this is a healthy thing in other communities, but not something to laugh at in our communities. Am I following you?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I just think that sometimes we just have to be pioneers. There are some folks that just have to step out there, you know, and say some things. I've had friends come to me, you know, trying to get connections, you know, like Destiny, trying to get connections, you know, for therapists. And they come to me like, you know, it's like a, you know, secret kind of thing. Like, you know, they're going to be, you know, like they're coming to the principal's office. And, you know, and I just say to them, listen, I'm a counselor. That's what I do. I mean, I believe in this stuff. You know, everybody should be doing it. And, you know, and even though they know this is what I do, there's still a point where they just kind of let down and go, because the stigma is so strong. You know, to be able to share, you know, man, I have a therapist, you know, this is a healthy thing. You know, we need to look at the difference. So we got to kind of, you know, be pioneers about it and be able to speak about it in different ways. Here's the deal. In that last clip that I showed, his dad walked out, didn't show any love. Guess who suffered from depression too? His father. So in another clip, you know, when Rome was talking to his mother about, you know, how he's feeling, she was like, baby, your dad has been struggling with that for years. We just don't talk about it, and we play it off like it's something bad, and it's not. If we had a broken arm, what would we do? We'd go to the hospital and deal with it. We treat it. If we have diabetes, what do? Well, we treat it. Okay, this is something that we just need to treat. And when it goes untreated, that's when we get in trouble.
There's another question from the chat. So how do you balance if you yourself are having some mental just difficulties, and then you have others coming to you for support? Do you have any suggestions or tips on how to find that balance, and in terms of maybe more boundaries, or if there's any other pieces?
Yeah, you know, as soon as you were saying that, Suzanne, I thought about, you know, that speech that they give when you get on the airplane. You know, when the oxygen masks fall, you put yours on first. And they tell you to do that is because, you know, you can't help anybody else until you take care of you. So if folks are in a position where they feel like that they aren't taking care of themselves, yep, they need to set some boundaries so that they can do that, because they can't continue to pour in others' cups. Otherwise, you know, they're going to run empty.
Terrence, do you want to go ahead and ask your question?
Dr. Dempsey, I appreciate you for spending the time with us this evening.
Indeed, brother.
Good to see you too, brother. I had a question. we're launching a search here for a coordinator for Black and African American mental health and wellness. So what would be some good qualities or characteristics to look for in a particular counselor, and what areas or networks could we branch out to reach out to get some individuals to qualify or apply for this particular position?
Yeah, well, number one, probably shooting out to the universities, some of the deans, and saying, hey, this is what we got. And Terrence, what I love about that, man, it's specific. I mean, you run into that, interview if you want to and not know what they're talking about, but it's very specific. So as you talk about the qualities, man, I would say, man, continue to be specific and ask about, some of that stuff. So I'm probably going to go about this backwards, but, just some of the questions, because Terrence, like I know people can pencil whip you and they'll write all kinds of stuff down, what they've achieved and what they've done. But I think it's in that interview, some of the questions that you ask, what is their experience working with specifically the Black population, okay? Because that's what you want to know. What were some of the successes? What did they see to be difficult? Because I mean, you learn a lot from that as well. Because if it's someone who has maybe not been in the Black community, we want to hear that. Well, you know what? I have white privilege, and so on and so forth, and and that comes up in session, and I got to deal with that in order so that we can create a therapeutic relationship. And so, and there, I know you, Terrence. You are unapologetically Black. However you want to ask that question, are you okay with being unapologetically Black? And how do you support these students? How do you advocate for them? How will you do that in the counseling room? How will you do that outside of the counseling room? How will you get involved in the Black community here at Oregon State University? We just don't want someone in our office tucked away. We want someone that's part of the community. And that's kind of what it is, Terrence. It's, you want somebody who's walking on campus that's just a regular person, seem cool. And people like, man, okay, that person seemed really good. Hey, that's the counselor. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna go. That's what you want. You don't want somebody tucked away who is not, coming out to the step shows, who's not coming out, to all of that stuff. We want somebody who is going to be not just serve the community, Terrence, be part of the community.
Thank you.
So this is going to be the last question. Destiny, do you want to go ahead and ask?
I do. My question more so goes towards seeking out that therapist. So I've had my long journey within being in Oregon, finding a Black therapist, and I lucked up finally now that we're remote, and I was able to find my Black woman therapist.
Right
now,
on.
an issue that I know that many people come up with is the aspect of insurance. So whether or not that therapist takes your insurance, and having that conversation of, hey, if you don't take me, do you have the sliding scale? And I guess my question more so is like, how do you ask that question? Is it rude to ask a therapist, do you do a sliding scale? Because I know you have to respect their craft and what they're doing. And of course you want to pay them, but if you're a struggling college student, how do you go about having that conversation?
Yep, just like you just did, sister. Hey, I'm a college student right now, and I just want to know if you have a sliding scale, and that is, and if you're really asking, is that like a foul question? Absolutely not. It's one that most folks will ask. So, and you don't know until you ask.
Okay, I saw one more question pop in the chat. Often individuals will self-soothe with substance abuse.
Ooh.
How can you help a friend to get help? How do you start the conversation?
Yeah, you know what? Number one, be honest. And a lot of these are about, how do you, help a friend? Which is, how do I make my friend? How do I make my friend see what's going on? And you can't. You know, I mean, people, when they're ready, they're ready. However, you can voice your concern and you can be there and you can support, but you can't make folks ready. But if you love them and you show that care and concern, and you know, every once in a while you say, man, I'm a little worried about it, man. It seems like you're drinking a lot, but you know, I just want you to know I'm here for you. I care for you. Otherwise, that person's going to go away and not be with you. And we want that person around folks who care and love for them, care and love them.
Well, those are all the questions that we have, Jonathan.
Thank you so much, Milky. Thank you, Dr. Dempsey. Thank you, everybody, for sharing your questions and just the insights. I think it was I see questions as a two-way street of information exchange.
Yeah.
We very much appreciate everybody sharing and opening up for their thoughts. I definitely want to bring on Mr. Terrence, who's going to come in and follow up and just give a little breakdown of what's going on for the rest of the Black Heritage Month and how we'll be celebrating with the university. But before I farewell, I just want to give one last shout out again to Brother Dr. Dempsey for being here and sharing his expertise, time, and love with us. Very much appreciate you for being here. And if everybody can jump off of mute and say they thank yous and farewells, because we are still human and I love that human interaction. So if you don't mind, everybody, we can give Dr. Dempsey a round of applause for being here with us. I appreciate you.
Yo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to everybody. Thank you, everybody. Terrence, Dr. Dempsey will let you enjoy and relax and then coast out for the rest of the evening. We're going to pass on just a quick little announcements about what's coming up, and then we'll have a little farewell Marvin Gaye vibe. So stay tuned. Go ahead, Terrence.
Thank you, Brother Riley. I thank you, Dr. Dempsey, Brother Dempsey. Appreciate that. And the wisdom that you just dropped on us tonight. And for everybody, it's Black Heritage Month, as you know. This is one of our events for this week. Tomorrow we have a paint and sip event that's going on. And everything that I'm going to tell you is located in various places. And if you can't find it, you can always email me. But if you have Instagram on our IG page, it's at Oregon State BCC. You can find it under the link tree. But tomorrow's a paint and sip party, which is just a kickback paint session that's going on from 2 to 4. You may have seen about Black Family Feud. We are doing Black Family Feud. We need people to sign up. So if you want to play Black Family Feud, we got over $250,000. I wish. $250 in prizes. So it's on Black culture. That's the gag for that. It's Black culture. So I hope you are ready. It's gonna be fun. We did a little bit of it in staff meeting this week. So I think everybody's gonna be prepared. So anybody can play. So we encourage you to. You can find the link for that on the website, or you can also email us or myself, Terrence. I'll put my name in the chat. Thank you, Reagan, for putting stuff in the chat for that too. And then next week, we have another great panel conversation about Black entrepreneurship. The registration link is available there. There's an open mic night. I know Mateo is on, so he can speak a little bit about that in a moment. And we have, what is it I'm missing? EOP. So it's EOP crash course, so to speak, how to get involved with EOP. So I know Dorian is on, so Brother Smith can talk a little bit about that, and Milky is working with that too. So if you have students, high school students, we're working with a couple of high schools, with David Douglas High School and I know South Albany High School. But it's how to get involved. Our seniors and juniors, if they're getting ready to go into college or thinking about it, you heard Dr. Dempsey mention this earlier, this is a good opportunity to get them to know about EOP. EOP is amazing, and how it will help. And you can hear from other students about their experience in EOP. So that's going to happen next Friday on the 19th. And then we have reclaiming spirituality in the cutie pop. So queer, trans people I cannot get this together tonight. people of color, Black, Indigenous people of color. And that's going to be a really good conversation. Destiny probably left already, is leading that discussion. That's going to be on a Sunday, February 21st. And then to round out the month, we have Race in America discussion that's going to be on Wednesday, February the 24th, which is going to be talking about navigating by Black and being multiracial or biracial. So it's a really in-depth, good conversation. We had it a little bit last year. We bringing it back because we didn't get to really go in like we wanted to. So a really good conversation about that. So if you got questions, please let me know. Mateo, if you'd like to say anything, or Milky about your two events, I'll give you the floor. And then we can turn it back over to, I think it's Jonathan.
Thank you, T. How's it going, guys? Thank you for having me on this great discussion. It was great to hear some amazing words and just listen from the perspective of I'm assuming you're like a psychologist or a therapist. So that was awesome. But yeah, I have a event going on February 17th at 6 p.m. I'll be collaborating with the BCC and the BSU. And yeah, we'll be having an open mic for poets, singers, rappers, anyone who would like to give a brief speech, any of that. Yeah, so it'll be at 6 p.m. on February 17th. The link should be in the link tree. And if you'd like to sign up, you can go through Terrence or me, BCC, Instagram, and sign up. Or if not, just come and watch. I want it to be a big event, and I want there to be an audience for these people who do showcase their talents. So if you guys would please come to that, that'd be awesome, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
My event is the EOP event happening next Friday at 4:30. We have 2 high schools coming in to listen, but if you guys know any juniors or seniors that want to come to OSU, this is a really great program to be a part of, and Dorian is an awesome advisor, and there are a bunch of awesome other advisors in EOP and a bunch of other branches that people can be a part of. So please reach out to any students that y'all know and get them to be a part of this.
Super dope. Thank you, Milky. Thank you, Mateo. Thank you guys for leading the way. And I hope everybody hears all the things that Dr. Dempsey was talking about and how we can relate that back to these younger generation that are putting their foot forward in leadership. And we need to step up and be behind them and support them in any way we can. We don't have to, overdo our time, because I know we're all stretched for time, but we know how important it is for us as leaders and people in the community to get behind the young folks that are driving the needles, especially when it's so relatable to all the things that we all love and care about. So thank you both for leading the charge. Thank you, Terrence, for putting these amazing programs together and working with us with the Black Alumni and Friends Network. I'm very proud to be working close hand in hand with the students, and it very, very much warms my heart to see us passing information and being able to have a fluid stream of knowledge and access. So thank you. Just a quick snapshot. We're going to have some upcoming programs. Obviously, Terrence and team just walked through some of the Black History Month activities. So please stay tuned with that. Again, the email for Terrence as well as the BCC and information is in the chat. So please feel free to snap that and be able to reach out. In March, we're going to be supporting a Simple X conversation. They're a speaking professional group here in Portland, where they're highlighting the young Black professionals and really changing the game and giving access. So great for anybody coming out of college, or anybody that's recently out of college, or anybody that's passed long out of college, or just looking for a job. Just really being able to connect with all the Black professionals here in Oregon, really, in the Pacific Northwest. Amazing group. Also, we will having the Community Connect in April, and Community Connect is really our way of connecting with the community in any way, shape, and form, whether it is through discussions, whether it is through happy hours, whether it is through raffles and prizes. It's really just a way for us to show up and create impact. And then in May, we have our OSU Black Excellence Celebration, which obviously you stay in tune with that. That's also a big production with the BCC, as well as with EOP and everybody involved with Black Student Success, Access and Success. As well as in June, we have the Juneteenth and graduation, which we'll be celebrating those who have accomplished such greatness in a space where we all know it is very difficult, and it takes a lot to be able to persevere in those spaces. So celebrating them, as well as our heritage and history in America as people of color. So very much excited for everything that's coming down the pipe. You can find any more information you like, obviously at our website below, osualum.com/Black Heritage Month. All those details will be there. So easy to read and get to and access. And thank you again, Suzanne, for being able to lead the charge on these programs and making sure that we have a space for people to land and build community. And last but not least, this is it. I mean, we just want to say farewell and say thank you all for spending time with us and having a deeper conversation about these things. The conversation does not stop. I think we all know that, and it shouldn't, nor should it. So let's be very proactive on being able to support each other. Obviously, Dr. Dempsey said set those boundaries, but also set those boundaries with ourselves so that way we can be able to better support each other. Whether that means showing up for 15 minutes to listen to somebody give a cool poem that they put their heart into and their mental stimulation into, and supporting them and giving them that platform is just as much the same as supporting somebody. So I'm going to go ahead and put back on some Marvin Gaye to close this out, but please feel free to say anything you like over the mic or anything in the chat. We're just going to spend our last 5 minutes listening to Brother Marvin Gaye. Just a moment, I'll drop my